bought another house over the next.
Talking about moving on. You never finish it.
What do you do?
You know, I did it the last time, 2 years ago, and I'm really
I just wanted to come really.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay.
I commented on your shoes. I said, I don't have those shoes. You said we sell a lot of them. You said,
Yeah, I designed some of my shoes.
they were great.
Mr. Brown? So we have no quorum yet. I do know that one member is on his way. What I'm going to do is I will call a recess,
Okay,
and we'll just wait for a few minutes.
Okay.
yeah, we're all good.
Can we go to recess?
Sure.
Make a motion.
We just need that.
Do we get to go outside?
To the playground? How you doing, sir? It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Sorry, I apologize for missing a couple meetings. I clocked up on the corner. Was in the hospital for 3 days.
Wow. That's scary.
Yeah, it is.
Especially this time of year.
Runs the COVID test on different ones. All came back negative. It's like, fuck. So they took a chest X-ray. So I spent days against it.
I'll tell you, I've been made aware of some of these things that are in the air. And I had a sister thought she had pneumonia. Went to the doctor. She lived in Wisconsin. Good, how are you? Pneumonia kept getting her, and finally she went into the hospital, and she ended up having a thing called distal osmosis. It's to do with a mold fungus. Yeah, she died like 3 days, just like that. This is about 5-6 years ago. Yeah, so anymore when you talk about
Yeah, I mean,
I never had to go on oxygen. My oxygen like on the machine.
yeah,
You know what they have to
yeah,
do.
right,
They showed me your oxygen.
yeah.
I just
Wow. Yeah, sure. Yeah, the disease now, I'm not gonna remember it. It's called blastomycosis or blasto with a B with a blasto something. And it came from a mold. It came from a garden. You know, when she would garden, you know, just like most of us. But it was in a pretty shaded area where she lived. And, just, I don't know how she picked it up. I'll never know. But that's what they said. It came from the soil.
maybe 4 to 5 days.
Yeah,
It's proven to kill the flow.
yeah, exactly.
This kills 4 days at 30 degrees, 32.
Are you from originally?
there a chair book? I'll do it if there's a chair book. I know he says different things. Should I move there?
Yep.
Oh, today's date.
So you're gonna read all that, and it's gonna tell you at the bottom what to do. So we've done all that.
You've done all this or not?
No, you'll read all that.
You're still here.
And then these are the page numbers, and so it's go to and now and then page three. So this is how you're gonna go. This is each case, and then when we're done with the case, at the bottom it says next case. Or if it's the last case, you're gonna go to number 7. Now I do wanna tell you. Oh, I'm sorry, we're gonna make it even more difficult for you because I have there's 2 cases for the same property, and I want them back to back. I would put back to back, like, because they're different places.
So it's gonna change the order?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm gonna, do you want me to tell you which ones they are now, or is that, okay, so first one's gonna be this one. And then after that, we're gonna do.
She always gives me 2 agendas. She puts one inside here and then one in my packet.
Yep. So we'll do those 2 things, when we get to that one, we'll do.
Well, good afternoon and thank you.
Sorry, we're not on. Okay. I don't know if it's leaving.
Roll camera. Am I allowed to talk now?
Okay.
Well, good afternoon. We'll bring this meeting to order. Today's meeting of the Municipal Code Enforcement Board is called to order on June 23rd. Welcome, everyone. Sorry, this is my first time up here, so please be patient. Please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag. I gotta remember it. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Agendas for today's meeting are on the wall at the entrance of the chambers. Please remember to turn off your cell phones. The Municipal Code Enforcement Board consists of 7 members who are appointed by the City Council. We serve voluntarily. It is the board's intention to promote, protect, and improve the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Clearwater by providing the equitable, effective, and inexpensive method of enforcing certain codes within the city. The board considers new business items in 2 parts. First, the violation, and then the affirmative relief. Formal rules of evidence do not apply. Each side is limited to 15 minutes. The board may grant additional time. All proceedings will be conducted in a calm, civil manner. Individuals who conduct themselves otherwise will be asked to leave. If necessary, they will be escorted from the chambers. Now I ask that all that plan to speak, please rise and be sworn in by the clerk.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth throughout your entire testimony?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our first order of business is to review the minutes of last month's meeting. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from last week's meeting?
I move to approve last month's minutes.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
Okay, minutes approved.
You're on a roll.
We need the vote.
A vote. All in favor?
Aye.
We already have most of our, I saying aye. Is there anyone here to speak to items not on the agenda? Please step to the podium and state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is João Nunes, or Nunes, whichever you prefer.
Could you spell the last name for me?
N-U-N-E-S. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Ahmed, Shade Ahmed. He's the owner, manager, operator of Roadrunner Inc. That's at 1103 Court in Clearwater. On 5/18/21, Mr. Ahmed got notice from a property owner that there was an issue with artwork that he had commissioned for the side of the building 2 years ago, and given until 6/26/21 to have it resolved. Mr. Ahmed would have liked to have been here, but he had an emergency with his father in a doctor. His father is dealing with Parkinson's. I have attempted in resolving this to get a hold of the Cultural Affairs Coordinator here at Clearwater, Mr. Christopher Hubbard. I haven't met him, but I've talked to him several times on the phone. And in order to do something about this artwork in question. Unfortunately, it falls, I know the cities have programs regarding artwork in buildings now. This particular building falls just outside that perimeter. But we would like to resolve it. And Mr. Hubbard is being nice enough. He's going to introduce us to local artists that have worked with the city, and maybe we can do something with the artists in the city. I don't know. I've yet to hear from him. We would ask the council, because this has been such short notice, for a moratorium in order to resolve this matter. We would also ask the code enforcement to consider, given the length of time that this artwork has been up, 2 years now, I think I noticed something, to just allow it to stand.
That's your indicator that your time is just about up on your, what I'm
Okay.
going to speak. So,
The artwork, we think, has been well received by the community, and we would like to work with the code enforcement, and we will abide by your decision, of course.
if you don't mind having a seat somewhere up front, I'm going to see if anybody from the city has anything to say on it.
Right, I don't think the board has jurisdiction to hear something that is not placed before them by the city, so this would be something that the city would need to directly talk about.
Excuse me. So what happened on 5/18? Did we hear him? Did you say we?
We first, the owner of the property first got notice of this concern with the artwork on 5/18.
It's a regular notice of violation versus a case that's before you.
Right, so it's
It has
not,
not come before you at this time.
so it's not something for us to rule on today, but something to continue to work with the city on.
Yes.
So, as far as a ruling today, there's nothing for us at this point.
Okay.
There you go.
Today, but tomorrow I'll be more than happy to. All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you both. Are there any other citizens willing to speak on a not on agenda item? Good, seeing none. New business. All right. Starting with 4.1. All right, Nicole. Continued from January 27th, February 4th, and April 28th, May 26th, case 0521.
Hey, good afternoon. William Malloy, 325 South Boulevard, Tampa, Florida. Here for the respondent.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes,
quick question. Are you here representing the property owner today, or are you
I'm sorry,
representing the
I looked
business?
the wrong one.
business, actually.
Okay. Mr. Chair, With that in mind, it appears that the actual violator isn't here, am I correct?
The homeowner?
Yes, the property owner, they're not
Property
here,
owner
correct?
is in California.
Okay. Well, and you do not represent the property owner?
I have a power of attorney for them, if that's what's.
Sorry, I just need you to come to the podium. 'cause that's
Sorry.
what the microphone is.
No.
Sorry.
I do have a power of attorney from the property owner.
You do?
I do, yes.
Okay. We want to see it. Can we see it?
Do we have that handy? I don't have it. It could take us a minute to provide it. I don't have it with me.
You're an attorney, right?
I'm an attorney in the state of Georgia. I'm acting as a land use advocate today here in Florida.
You're a member of the Georgia Bar, that's fine.
Okay.
Just, if he's taking a position and saying he has it and he doesn't, then that would be bad.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I assure you the property owner is on board with everything we're doing here today.
Mr.
And I had to
Sullivan's
sign off.
okay, we're okay.
Okay, then we'll move forward.
All right, very good. Pardon me for that. This is a matter of use, and it's been a complicated and nuanced affair. That's why the multiple continuations here. We did receive a letter from Planning and Development last week as to our request for a zoning interpretation. And what we were trying to discern was the actual difference in the code between a halfway house and a community residential home. This case was instigated by a normal fire sprinkler inspection. There's nothing offensive, nothing untoward, no illegal behavior, no nuisance, etc. It was, I think, simply a matter of see something, say something. The letter, which is in the record, doesn't really make a determination, in my opinion, which side we fall on, towards halfway house or community residential. There's one statement in that letter which clearly states it's not a community residential home because we're not providing a fixed asset for the emotional, physical, and I believe it's psychological needs of the residents. I'm not exactly sure how we got to that conclusion, but I have with me the director of the home to assure you that is not the case. And if we can overcome that presumption, that hopefully we fall on the side of a community residential home rather than the more pejorative halfway house. So with that, I'm going to let Mr. Steve speak here to this, and he can tell you about the day-to-day operations and how they translate into the appropriate use.
Good afternoon. My name is Steven Zapinski. Yes, S as in Sam, Z as in zebra, O, P as in Paul, I, N as in Nancy, S as in Sam, K-I. And I am the program director for New Motives Incorporated. Business address is 3202 62nd Avenue North, St. Petersburg, Florida, 33702. So I oversee the daily operations of New Motives, and our residents they're required to have a curfew and basically live in the home that is supportive through myself. I am the staff member that supports their emotional, physical, and psychological needs. Examples of that would be one of the residents that live there is in a wheelchair. She's disabled, and she cannot get to the bank monthly to get her rent. So I pick her up, I take her to the bank to get her money to pay her rent, and then bring her back home. So that's one example of the physical needs that I assist with at that property. Emotional needs, I joked with our attorney prior to this, and if any of you would like my phone for a week to receive the phone calls that I get, just on a daily discussion as to what they're going through on a daily life basis and some solutions that I can talk them through. But it's a supportive role, and it's strictly just there to listen and support the individual through their process of life circumstances.
Okay.
So with that, we kindly ask for your consideration that this is the less intense, less offensive use. I feel like we've met the burden of proof there, but I do understand the nuances between the two uses. And we are happy to answer any questions you have about the particular use or operations.
Does the city want to ask any questions of the witness before the board does?
Not at this time.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make sure that they could do that before, and then now it's...
Right.
We have a presentation that we're going to give after theirs, so we'll kind of address our position a little bit clearer. So at that time, we'll...
Yeah, so if you want to have a seat in the front, well,
Very good.
Wait a second. Can we ask a question?
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's discretion of the board.
Could you explain your your credentials
Yes,
to
sir.
provide services?
Sure, absolutely. So I have a bachelor's degree from Troy University in psychology, and that can be provided if requested.
Okay. Any other
What was,
questions from the board?
what was the address for the house that you're talking
The
about?
property in question?
Yes.
900 South Highland Avenue, Clearwater, Florida, 33756.
Thank you both. Welcome.
Hello, board. Come on. There we go.
All right, board. Daniel Knight, sign inspector with the city of Clearwater. And this is 900 South Highland Avenue, case 05-21. There's one violation at the property, and it's for code section 1-104B and 2-100. It's the zoning violation, unpermitted use in the LMDR. Notice of violation was sent out on 6/8 of 2020 with a compliance date of 7/9/2020. I did receive the signed certified mill receipt back on 6/24/2020. This is just to let you know the acronyms for low medium density residential district, which is LMDR, and institutional, which is district, which is I. All right, per the CDC definition, section 8-102, a halfway house means a residential use providing transitional housing for persons needing substance abuse treatment, criminal incarceration, and similar environments. Community residential home, or CRH, means a dwelling unit which provides a living environment for up to 14 unrelated residents who operate as the functional equivalent of a family, including such supervision and care by a supportive staff as may be necessary to meet the physical, emotional, and social needs of the residents. Community residential homes shall not be located within 1,000 feet of one another. Okay, so the property in question is 900 South Highland. The arrow is pointing to the square, which is that parcel. And this yellow section is the LMDR. So this parcel is located within the LMDR zoning district. And just for happenstance, institutional would be blue, and that would be actually across the street. This is a snippet of the code section from Municode from 2-100, which is permitted uses. I've highlighted LMDR and I, and if there is an X checked off in the box, it means that that is a permitted use. If there is no X, then that use is not allowed. If we go over to halfway house, there is no X checked off for LMDR, but there is one for institutional, and that is the only zoning district where halfway house would be allowed to operate. This is just a Google map photo of the property in question. Okay, this was back in 2014, 3/25/14. The process that our technicians have when they get a business tax receipt application is they'll take the application and they kind of make a shell of that application so that they can input all the criteria and then get sign-offs from zoning and this and that. So back on this date, 3/24/14, New Motives did come in and try to apply for a business tax receipt as a halfway house. The tech at that point did put some comments in here. It says, community residential home, no transitional housing or rehab. Applicant was told in person on 3/25/14 at 11 a.m. and via a phone call on 3/18/14 at 4:23 p.m. That the zoning of the LMDR precludes halfway house, congregate care, and ALF. The last use of the property was a community residential home. CRH is a permitted use up to 6 residents in the LMDR district. The applicant was told that any paperwork from the state requiring zoning sign-off for anything other than a CRH would not be approved or signed off on. And then just over 3 years later, on 6/2/17. Whether it was the same tech or not, I don't know, but they saw this shell of an application and updated it again. So on 6/2/17, a new application was received for a halfway house. Applicant took application to the zoning and left with the application. In that time frame of 2017, the then inspector, Kristen Harris, had a case open for this being a halfway house and had sent out notice. And in her final comments before closing out the case, it says, "I've spoken to the property owner's daughter, and she said that the home is not operating as a transitional home any longer. It is being used as a single-family rental." So at that point, a business tax receipt for a single-family rental unit was applied for and obtained, and has been in good standing since. This was the clarification of operation letter that was sent to the city on May 13th, 2021. Of usage respective to the property located at 900 South Highland Avenue, Clearwater, Florida, 33756 by New Motives, Inc. This property is currently being used as a community residential home. There are 6 occupied units and 1 unoccupied unit at this location. None of the residents are related, and support staff is limited to minimum oversight only. To ensure that the safety of the residents and the occupants. None of the occupants are under any form or are required to be under any form of treatment pertaining to substance abuse, mental health, or medical by New Motives, Inc. The occupants sign a non-specific time frame financial agreement to pay a standard weekly or monthly fee. Whether their length of stay is determined by them, the mean average is greater than 1 year. New Motives operates as a for-profit corporation and provides services contained to housing only. There are no outside providers that visit the property, such as doctors, counselors, social workers, psychiatrists, etc. Lastly, the residence is not licensed by any agency, as Florida law does not require it at this time. This is a snippet of the website pinellasnewmotives.org/about-us. When I Googled New Motives Clearwater, this is the website that came up. About us, who are we? We are an organization that manages transitional living facilities. Our goal is to provide the individual with a safe, sober, drug-free environment while teaching and encouraging them to be a productive member of society through restoration of body, mind, and spirit. A few requirements that are in place for our clients are set curfews, 90 meetings in 90 days, education, employment, and career counseling, random urine and breathalyzer testing, 24 hours on-call staff, and weekly house meetings. What we believe. Our philosophy is based on the theory that addiction is a threefold disease: physical, mental, and spiritual. We utilize the wisdom found in the 12-step program and encourage our clients to work on all 3 areas at New Motives. Transitional housing continues to be one of the most effective ways to attaining continued abstinence from drugs and alcohol. Our sober living community believes that with the proper education, support, and willingness, everyone has the opportunity to recover from substance abuse. We provide our residents with the tools and guidance they need to become a valuable, loving, happy, family-oriented person again. Okay, and just to show that I'm on the same web page, I have an arrow showing to pinellasnewmotives.org/about-us under sober living, and you see photos that they have provided of their facility. This is a photo I took on 5/26/2021. You can see the buildings are the same. And this was another shot just farther out. I would like to say that I've had communications with Steve, and he's been very cooperative. We spoke. No bad things to say about him. At this time, if the board would like, I can ask the Director of Planning and Development, Gina Clayton, to come up and kind of give you her briefing on the zoning use of this property.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Gina Clayton, Planning and Development Director. I think that part of the issue here is that we're getting a little different information. When you read their website, it's clear that it meets the definition of a halfway house. It was a little difficult to get them to actually ask the question of what interpretation from the code they were actually asking for, and that may contribute to their feeling that they didn't get a clear indication of what the use is. I don't think we have a clear indication from them that they are telling us what the use is. We're getting different information. But based on the information that we have, and we received a letter dated May 13th, it was our belief, my interpretation as the interpreter of the Community Development Code, that the use is not a community residential home. In that same letter of May 13th, they did detail that there is a non-specified time frame financial agreement for weekly and monthly fees, and that the time frame, that to me reads transitional. But if, they were saying that there was no substance abuse treatment going on, then it wouldn't be. But everything on their website points to that there is some sort of treatment occurring that is transitional in nature. My interpretation of the code, this is not a residential use of property as defined, nor is it a community residential. Fine. We do have some definitions in the code about residential use, and it talks about a family living together as a single housekeeping unit. And then we have some criteria about what constitutes a housekeeping unit. And if one of those things are met, then it's not considered to be residential. And one of the important ones to point out is that members of the group have separate leases or subleases and or make separate payments to the landlord, which is occurring, I think, at that site. So my opinion is it's not residential use as outlined in the LMDR district.
Well, thank you for your clarification.
Okay.
Just so I can be clear on this. So there is a direct conflict between what is being said it is, and on their website, that there's actual services being provided, which is counseling, the 90 meetings a month, which suggests, or a year, whatever, suggests that there is counseling. So there's a direct opposition on what's being said and what's being promoted. So you're going along with what's on the website, which is what they're promoting, which makes them a halfway house, right?
That's my feeling. That's what it is. We did point out in the interpretation, we said if none of the person's needs substance abuse treatment, then the use would not be considered. But when you look at their website, clearly it is a sobriety house where people are needing transitional living to work through any sort of addiction issues.
Thank you again.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions from the board? Thank you.
And I'll let you deliberate if you have any questions for me.
You said across the street, the zoning is institutional.
A portion of it, yes, if we can go back to that page.
Are these two lots contiguous in any way?
No, Highland is in between them, Highland Avenue.
So a rezoning wouldn't even be practical.
I don't want to speak on rezoning, I don't.
I mean, if they don't touch it, that would be spot zoning.
Again, I'm not aware enough of
Okay.
to speak on that.
Do we have any other uses in the city of Clearwater where they provide services like the one that's being provided here?
According to 2-100 of permitted uses, the only district that would allow a halfway house would be the institutional district.
Yeah, and do we have any other uses in that institutional district? I mean, is this the only place where they provide the same services?
That is the only place where a halfway house would be able to operate, is in that district, yes. Are you asking are there more than one
Yeah, other than this one.
uses in that? I mean, if you go down the institutional,
No, I guess what I'm asking is, do we have any other operations like the one they have in our institutional districts? I mean, is this the only?
Oh, throughout the city?
Yeah, is this the only game in town?
I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe Ms. Clayton wants to say something.
I don't know the answer to your question, if there are other halfway houses in the city. I don't know right off the top of my head if that was your question.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know.
I have an additional question I'd like to ask Mr. Yes, sir. And I suppose maybe Mr. Malloy, you could help me answer this as well. So, kind of just guide me through your logic here. If you're not a halfway house, why did you originally apply for a BTR to be recognized as
So
well?
I can, again, Steven Zapinski, New Motives, Director of Program Services. So I can speak to both the application and the website. I came on board in 2019, so that was prior to my employment. Since then, the founder who originally applied for that business tax receipt has been removed from the company due to his inexperience and not knowing what was going on. Also with that, he took the website for that password, and if Mr. Knight would go back to that website, you can see that his phone number, the old founder, Michael Sauter, his phone number is at the top of that website, and primarily the contact. We have tried adamantly to get a hold of him to get that password to change the website to reflect appropriately what it is that we do there.
So, was it he that applied for the residential BTR after that?
I believe so, yes, because I came on board in 2019, so anything prior to that, the website establishment and both applications to the BTR were prior to my employment on board.
So since that website's locked out, do you have a separate website you send people to?
We're in process of building it right now, but we've been trying to get a hold of, I believe the software engine was GoDaddy or something, and we've tried to negotiate with them back and forth, letting them know that that's not an accurate representation of what we do. But unfortunately, he paid for the services for however many years.
So, according to the letter we received from Mr. Steven Sapinski, it says here in relevant part, support staff is limited to minimal oversight only to ensure the safety of the residents and occupants.
That's correct.
What you were telling me a few minutes ago and you were telling the board sounds like you were doing a bit more than that.
As far as transporting an individual to the bank and back, or in regards to the phone calls that I receive?
All of what you were saying sounds like more than just minimal oversight.
Well, I believe that's minimal in the fact that
There's a difference between oversight and support.
correct. So it's more of a supportive role than it is being an oversight towards the residents, yeah. So there's no direct therapy, there's no direct services that are accommodated to the residents through New Motives for mental health, substance use, medical, or anything like that.
And they each have separate leases as discussed?
They do have separate financial agreements, that's correct.
Leases?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you know if any of your residents are receiving counseling outside of the home?
I do not, that's not a requirement that we have, and that's completely separate from what services we provide.
So do they get counseling in the home?
They do not.
So where are they getting, so they're not getting counseling at all?
That's correct. That's to my knowledge. So not provided by New Motives Incorporated. It is not required for them to, at the residence, they're not required to receive services for any type of substance use, mental health, or medical
So
services.
all they're doing is living there?
That's correct.
Do you have a copy of your financial agreements with each of these tenants?
I do not have it with me, but I do have it electronically that I would be more than happy to send the councilman and councilwoman.
Why wouldn't the original owner locate this in an institutional zoning district rather than where he is? It was this lot just became available and it fit the needs of the owner, or why didn't he locate it in the institutional district?
So I wish I could speak to, that, to the council, in regards to represent him accurately. However, I believe he was not as educated and didn't do the research required to go through the proper channels. I mean, he probably thought it was just a business tax receipt that needed to be applied for and thought that that would satisfy the city. However, I realize that it's a much more complex process and we're willing to comply in any regard. However, it's just kind of turned into what it has.
Well, I don't know what it would take for you to move it into a permitted zoning district, but that's a solution to this, if you wanted to keep the company moving forward. Otherwise, you'd almost have to rezone the district or the area to the institutional, and it doesn't touch the institutional, so that's going to be looked at unfavorably.
Okay.
Have you looked into other buildings that might house these people?
Not in the city of Clearwater, because it hasn't come to my attention prior to last year when Mr. Knight first contacted us. Actually, Inspector Esposito was the original contact to come out to the property in regard to the call for there, and then he reported to Mr. Knight, and Mr. Knight got in contact with me. And I've tried to keep all parties informed as best I can, but I didn't think it was necessary at that time, because I firmly believe that we are operating under the community residential home definition. And
What success rate have you had with these individuals? Do they live there forever, or do they move on to productive lives?
they do. So they do. The idea is that they transition back into independence and become, productive. And
Without being counseled?
without being counseled, that's correct. At the residence.
Mr. Chair, we have a few more questions if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
So, first off, we'd like to know, do the interior doors contain padlocks or keyed doorknobs which limit the tenant's use or access?
The interior doors,
Yes.
they do not have padlocks. And what was the second after that question, sir?
Padlocks or keyed doorknobs?
Doorknobs have
Yeah,
keys.
they may, I'm not entirely sure. I would say yes.
They do
Off the
have
top
keyed
of my head, I
doorknobs?
would. But again, those were installed prior to me coming on.
Do members of the group have separate leases or subleases and or make separate payments to the landlord?
They do.
They do.
To the landlord, meaning the property owner, or us as the business?
It doesn't matter,
Okay.
but they do.
They do have separate rental agreements, excuse me.
So you've answered, it sounds like yes, most likely to the first one, and yes, most likely to our second question, which would mean that, according to the code, I'll read this to you, a housekeeping unit means a group of individuals, whether or not related by blood marriage or civil union, who reside together as a family. Existence of one or more of the following shall create a rebuttable presumption that the group is not a bona fide housekeeping unit. And those two questions I just asked you completely related to that, and you answered yes to them. So there is a rebuttable presumption that your use is not a housekeeping unit and therefore not a residential use under our code.
So I understand correctly, the fact that the doors have locks and the fact that separate financial arrangements allow the residents to be there are presumptions that this is not a residential use.
Pursuant to our land development code, yes. Community development code, to be precise. One other question, I just want to make sure I understand this for the record as well. Did you ever try to apply for a community residential facility business tax receipt?
I have not in the time that I've been with New Motives. However, a couple months ago, I did request the reason why. My knowledge was that they applied in the past, and I'm not sure what for. I didn't know that it said halfway house or whatever the language was on the application. But I did request the reason for the denial.
But you didn't actually request a BTR to be a community residential facility?
I did not.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Knight, if you want to come back up and give us your recommendations.
My can share my recommendations, but I think at this point it's up to the board to decide whether the violation exists or not.
Well, I'll make the motion that the violation does exist. Are we looking for one of these first violations?
Okay, do we have a second on that?
Well, I'll go, I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
All right. For 900 South Highland Avenue, recommendation for case 05-21. Number of violations is 1 for the zoning violation of unpermitted use in the LMDR. Compliance on or before July 23rd, 2021, or a fine of $150 per day that the violation continues to exist. We are asking the board to authorize the following. After 3 months from the recordation date of such lien, if the fines and fees remain unpaid, the city's attorney's office is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien using any legal or equitable remedies available under the law. And compliance can be met for the zoning violation of unpermitted use would be by refraining from operating the halfway house in the LMDR zoned property, along with that to operate a business that would be allowed in the LMDR zoning district.
Thank you.
I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before July 23rd.
Wait,
Oh, sorry.
you all have an opportunity to speak on this issue. As you can tell, that the city is requesting compliance on or before July 23rd, and you have an opportunity to speak to the board on this issue.
If that's what's in front of us, and I believe that is going to be the final answer in this forum, the only thing I would ask, and this is strictly a humanitarian, if we could get a bit more time, because we are talking about relocating residents who are not in the most, they're fragile, perhaps. July 23rd is a month away. I think 60 days, if we could get that in order to effectuate the move, if that's where we need to go.
Okay.
I'd very respectfully ask for that.
Thank you. Nicole, where would that put us on a date? August?
8/23.
August 25th.
Okay, August 25th is the date.
I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before August 25th. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day each violation continues to exist. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle on such lien.
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Board.
Do I call the Nicole? Okay, let them go. And moving on. 4.2, case 3321. Am I on the right page? Yep.
I assume there's nobody here.
Oh, yes. Is there, I guess there's nobody here, right, for this?
I don't believe so.
Thank you.
Would you like me just to skip to my recommendation for this case?
Yes, please.
Good afternoon, my name is Greg Dixon. This is case 33-21 for 403 Jasmine Way. There are 2 violations at this property, an exterior surface violation and accumulation and placence of nuisance. And I have 2 recommendations, a separate one for each one. For the accumulation and placence of nuisances, I would request compliance on or before 5 days after the board renders its order. Or we are asking the board to authorize the following. For the Code Compliance Division to take all reasonable actions, including entry onto the property to abate and maintain the nuisance and charge the violator with the reasonable cost which will become a lien on the property. After 3 months from the recordation date of such lien, if the fines and fees remain unpaid, the city attorney's office is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien using any legal or equitable remedies under the law.
Before you get there, Mr. Chairman, we need to take the first vote.
Yes.
Since no one was here for a violation.
First violation?
May I have, yeah,
Declaration of violation.
sorry, Mr.
No?
Is it a declaration?
No, it's in violation still.
We just need to,
A
right,
de-
it's your
a de-
motion where no one is present.
Declaration of violation.
The first, what is it, first violation? Okay, so I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're good?
Thank you.
Okay, for the second violation of exterior surfaces, I'm requesting compliance on or before March the 1st of 2022, or a fine of $150 per day per violation if compliance is not met. After 3 months from the recordation date of such lien, if the fines and fees remain unpaid, the city attorney's office is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such liens using any legal or equitable remedies under the law.
I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
That was the first motion.
Oh.
that
Yeah,
we
no,
already
you have
That's
that.
fine, but
No-
we're gonna need two motions for the
Right.
recommendations for, correct? So there's two violations, two different recommendations. We're gonna need a motion for each.
So which one is the 5 days from March 21st? Which one's that? Which violation is that?
The accumulation of nuisances.
Okay. What case, is that, broke it down by case or no?
No, they're both under
Both under
3321.
the same case.
Can you go back to the first recommendation?
There you go.
Yeah, that's the first recommendation.
We wanted to address both of the issues separately.
So either the top one with,
So,
or.
right, so you would find, this is the violation concerning accumulation and placement of nuisances. So you can, in your motion, you could refer to that description.
So the short version or the long version?
Okay, so then it would be, I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violation or be in compliance on or before 5 days after the board renders its order. Would that be
Yes.
appropriate?
Yes.
Do we have a second?
I second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
And then this would be the next
Thank you.
one, exterior surfaces.
So on this motion, I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before, what is it, March 1st, 2022?
Yes.
If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day each violation continues to exist. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
And case 5121. Hello.
This is not corrected prior.
It's
This is
declaration.
corrected prior.
I'm just waiting for introduction. Julie Phillips,
Sorry.
Section Specialist, City of Clearwater. It's okay. The property at 607 Lime is currently in compliance. I'm requesting a declaration of violation.
Thank you. Anybody here present to speak on that? No? Okay.
Okay, I move to find the respondent was in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit. In this case, the violation was corrected prior to today's hearing, and to enter an order that no fine be imposed. If the respondent repeats the violation, the board may order a fine up to $500 for each day the violation continues to exist. That I do.
Thank you.
I second that.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Do you want to hear?
And case, I'm
Okay.
also next,
You're next.
5321
Oh, beautiful.
for St. Croix, and the property is also in compliance. I'll be requesting a declaration of violation for that as well, please.
I move to find that a respondent was in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit. In this case, the violation was corrected prior to today's hearing, and to enter an order that no fine be imposed. If the respondent repeats the violation, the board may order a fine of up to $500 for each day the violation continues to exist.
Have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Case 6021. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
We do have someone here for this.
Okay. Good. If you'd like to come forward and. Thank you for coming forward. If you state your name and address for the record.
Robert Spurts, 1651 Misty Plateau Trail.
Okay. Thank you. And if you would please let us know what you were going to say.
I'm sorry.
State.
Or do you admit or deny the violation?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I deny the violation.
Then, Mr. Chairman, we'll have a presentation, and then you can come up.
And then come back up. So you can stay up somewhere in the front.
Good afternoon, Board. Jason Cantrell, Building Inspector for the City of Clearwater, presenting the case at 1651 Misty Plateau Trail. Here we have one violation of an unsafe structure. For this is in regard specifically to the pool deck, and the pool cage, not the home. I cited section 3-1502A for property maintenance requirements and 3-1503B2 for a public nuisance. Notices of violation were sent on 4/23 of 2020, and then again on 5/17 of 2021. Mr. Sparks was in litigation in between those dates with his insurance company, and that's why we gave him time to get that corrected. That's why the long gap in between. The compliance date was from the date of the receipt of each notice, 7 days to obtain the permit, and subsequently 20 days to complete the work. Certified mail receipts were not received, so affidavits of posting were done on May 6, 2021, and then again for today's hearing on June 10th, 2021. This is the property. It is in between Old Coachman Road and Northeast Coachman Road. This is just a Google overview of the front of the home, just so you can see what we're talking about. This is the only picture showing the violation. Mr. Sparks does not want us on his property. The yard is fully fenced and there's a lot of foliage, so it's very difficult to get access. And unfortunately, the photos don't tend to show what our eyes can see. So this photo was taken by code compliance back on 4/21 of last year. And that is the best photo showing the pool has popped up. You can see, hopefully you can see that the pool has popped up in that. And then this is just an overview so you can see how everything is situated in that subdivision.
Okay, thank you.
This is one of the affidavits of posting. And that is the second one for the hearing. And any questions for me?
Board? No.
So the violation is the swimming pool is popped up.
Correct.
Does the swimming pool have water in it?
I do not know.
Is the swimming pool protected by a fence?
It is.
Okay.
And they were in contact with their insurance company on remedying this through insurance? Is that what?
You would have to ask him. I'm not sure exactly.
Okay. You want to have a seat for a second?
Thank
We'll bring the, sir, if you want to come back up. And now we get to hear from you. Thank you. You've already stated your name for them, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So what's the condition right now of the backyard?
The pool's in the ground, it's full of water. I do not see a concern for. They call it an unsafe structure. Again, it is fenced in. Also has a little cage around it. I've not given code enforcement permission to access or enter my property, but I've had multiple calls from neighbors saying that they're physically on my property, and I'm at work, so I can't see what they're doing on, but it's disturbing. I feel I asked them to let me know who the reference witnesses are as opposed to the violations. Their main witness was a disgruntled person that lived in one of my properties, has physically vandalized the home that I live in, and they're their key witness. I'm terrified of code enforcement because of their continual harassment over an issue that I have managed.
Do you by chance have any pictures of your backyard and the condition it's in? Since they weren't able to get a good picture of it?
They didn't ask me for, to bring anything. They just said,
right.
Be present or we're going to throw the book at you if you're not here.
You haven't taken any pictures at all in your backyard?
Pictures
I don't.
On your phone?
I don't feel.
See the pool?
Well, they have me here for two things. I guess I have pictures of other things.
Anything that would show the pool is now in the ground and it's full of water and you're enjoying the use of it and everything?
I guess I just have.
Yeah, just lay it there, thank you.
After one, I just have to pressure treat. The problem is it's got the Pebble Tech on it, and you spray it.
You could sort of center that a little bit.
You spray it, just takes all the pebbling off, so I just have to wash it. But there's a little, like I said, there's a slight separation.
Yeah, sorry.
Bart, do you have a date on that picture by any chance?
No, I don't.
No.
Here, it'll be easier to see. Hold on 1 second.
Technology. So what I'm seeing from the picture, the patio and the pool look like they're still intact to each other. Does that mean the pool really hasn't popped up or has popped up?
There's a subtle thing, a little separation there. The dilemma is I don't know what they want me to do to remedy it other than the notice saying we're going to force you out of your house, condemn your home, tear down your home if we have to get back to your yard to assess your pool. And I don't, going as, I can show you later, going as far as we're willing to tear down your house to get in your backyard to see your pool is a little bit scary, the extent that they're willing to go through to have access to my property.
Well, they won't do that, I guarantee you that. They're not going to tear your house down.
According to their letter, again, and I got a mortgage here, I don't think my bank would
Right. Is the pool in a usable condition today?
How do you use it? Is it
I'm not
swimming in it right now?
a swimmer, so I don't use my pool.
You look in your backyard though, right?
Yes.
Like, is it swimmable? Can you go out there and if you wanted to put
if I wanted
trunks
to
on and jump in, you'd have no problem with it? Because I'm trying to figure out what picture he took compared to your snippet picture. Because in the picture that he took, it's clearly popped up,
Right, and like I said, I've addressed the issue. If they absolutely want me to remove a pool, I hear they're looking at 60 to 90 days just to get a permit to have somebody come out there and address what to do with the pool. So if they absolutely say, hey, we want you to have a brand new pool in your backyard, the contractor's questions would be is we're not going to replace it because I have such narrow lot lines. I maybe only have 2 feet on the side of my house to get back into the backyard, so I'm going to have to go across the neighbor's property just to get any equipment back there. And the next dilemma is it'd be easier if they absolutely don't want me to have a little separation and pool, if it's collapsed in, is that even allowable? Because it's not, to get equipment back there is, I'm gonna have to take out neighboring trees and whatnot, and one of my dilemmas, there's a 100-year live oak right on the property line. They gotta completely go across the neighbor's property just to get back there, so, for, effectively, I need direction what they even will want of me if they're so
Right.
bent on
But-
having removed, what am I allowable? Am I allowed to collapse it in? Or it's gotta be removed and they're gonna fight with my neighbors, they don't want traffic across their property?
Perhaps someone from building can give him a little bit of direction on, potential solutions that he might have to his problem. Is there anyone, maybe Kevin?
If you want to have a seat, just for a second.
Hello, I'm Kevin Garrett with the Building Department, Planning and Development. So to take out a pool, you can drill holes in the bottom of it and fill it in, cover it over. Some people will take all the actual concrete and pipes and everything out and then fill it in. Or you can do repairs. You could somehow sink it back down into the ground, reconnect all the piping and the electrical if there's anything, and get it working again. So there's like 3 different options.
So there's remedies.
Mr. Garrett, has Mr. Sparks reached out to you at all about potential ways to resolve his issue, or?
No, I've not talked to Mr. Sparks. No.
If I can ask another.
Sure.
It's popped out of the ground. That's the terminology. How many inches are we talking about popping out of the ground?
I don't know. Jason, do you know? A foot.
A foot? So the piping that would go to the pool wouldn't be connected, would it?
No, it's probably broken or at least disconnected.
So maintaining the pool isn't going to be very easy, will it?
It can be done. It'd be very hard, very expensive to.
So I wonder how he's maintaining it now.
Wonder what? I'm sorry.
How is he maintaining it now?
You don't know, yeah, right. What we find many times is it's green and full of mosquitoes and critters and debris, and it's just filthy. I don't know what this is like.
All right, any other questions? Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate your time. Come back up. Recommendation, I guess we're.
First motion.
Oh, first motion, sorry.
I move to find a respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
For compliance to be met for the unsafe structure, repair or replace any areas where deterioration or damage exists to meet current Florida building codes. Complete demolition of the structure is also an option for compliance, and all work must be properly permitted. The city is requesting compliance on or before July 23rd, 2021, or a fine of $150 per day that the violation continues to exist. Additionally, we are asking the board to authorize the city of Clearwater to enter onto the property to correct the violations by any means necessary, and any reasonable cost to be applied as liens against the property. After 3 months from the recordation date of such lien, if the fines and fees remain unpaid, the city attorney's office is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien using any legal or equitable remedies available under the law.
Thank you.
All right, here's the problem now. If we go ahead and do what there's no way in the world he's going to be able to complete this by July 23rd because his neighbors aren't going to let him
Right.
on his own property.
But you can add time to this if you feel it's more comfortable to add time to
Right.
it. That's part of our options.
How much time should we add to this?
That's.
And of course, we're looking at a body of water that's going to start looking green.
In the heat of summer, yes.
Then blue, and then black.
Well, how long does it take to get a permit to do it?
Well, it's not the permit so much, maybe, I don't know, they can answer that question, but it's getting access to the backyard. Eh?
There's always special equipment for backyard access. I mean, I haven't seen a pool guy that can't get in the backyard yet, but if that's the case, it's a matter of time. We have a motion, adjusted motion.
Go ahead. September, October.
I would move that we give them till 90 days till September
Okay,
23rd.
do you want to put that in the form of a motion?
Which one would I do?
You did second motion?
Okay, I move to enter an order requiring respondent to correct the violations on or before September 23rd, 2021. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day each violation continues to exist. If the fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
We have a second?
Second.
Have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're going to call you back up now, so if you don't mind, if you want to come back up, thank you for your presentation. If you please come back up, so we can sort of explain to you what just took place. So that you sort of understand what has happened is we've put a large period of time on it so that you have time to figure out what you need to do about making that a usable, non-usable, a flower garden area. But if you've got 90 days roughly to look for a remedy on your own for what's now become a, unfortunate problem. Pools in Florida do pop up, so it's an unfortunate problem that's happened. So you've got 90 days now to really look at what to do about it without having, so that's kind of the gift of time.
Couple issues with that. With the 2.5 to 3 feet on each side, I will need time trying to find one way to pay off one of the neighbors to give them, to get access. I do have a live oak that's 100 years old that might have to come down. Is the city amenable to 100-year plus live oak being removed to giving access?
That you would get with the city for recommendations on that if that were the case.
What is it again? You need to work with the city on it, and if you're working on it and things are getting done, they will not necessarily do an affidavit of non-compliance if you're getting it done. If you don't do anything, then they'll come back after 90 days and say, well.
We don't want to get to the end of 90 days and find out that nothing's been attempted.
Okay, because, and that's part, I've had 2 contractors in the process of this. They agreed to do the work. If this came down, and they backed out right before this hearing on the basis of submitting, requesting permits and being told it's going to be at least 60 days plus. So I'm not going to be able to get a permit within 60 days. The next thing is they want, any contractor I've talked to wants at least 3 weeks. They say, we'll take 3 weeks. Once we get permission from your neighbor to complete the work, so it's going to be over 90 days. I would ask for 120 days to find a licensed contractor that can do the work, negotiate with my neighbor.
Let's work with the 90 days. You have it's a large period of time, and the effort is put into place, and you're working with the city and trying to meet compliance and communicating with the city.
Okay.
That will get you there.
You also have the opportunity to come back before this board at the hearing where they would accept the affidavit of non-compliance and speak to them for any continual time period. Because what would happen is if you didn't come in compliance, the city will submit an affidavit of non-compliance which this board has to accept or deny. You will have an opportunity to speak again at that time. But if you're working with the city, they won't bring that forward as long as they feel that you're adequately following what is needed to get this done. So the board will not have to hear that unless you're not working with them.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. I wanted the option to turn it into a koi pond as well. I thought that would alleviate a lot of the issues if I could repurpose the pool, but it doesn't.
Again, you need to just work with the city on that.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
One more point.
Yes, please, if I could, I would just like to clarify one thing. Because it come up several times and it takes several months to get a permit for something like this. This would probably take 24 hours, at the most 2 days to get that demo permit.
I hope that helps you with your work.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah, to put that on the calendar.
Thank you. Moving on to,
And Chair,
Mr.
yes.
Chairman, we have the same individual responded for 4.20, so if we could bring that case up next.
correct. I actually had those notes, thanks to Nicole.
The one note you have.
It's the one note I had. So if case 8621, 8521 and 7921, if the respondents would come up with that. Coming up?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
The same question that was asked before, do you admit or deny the violation?
Deny the violation.
Okay, and the city will make their presentation.
Good afternoon, Board. Inspection Specialist Julie Phillips of the City of Clearwater for case 7921. I would like to let you know how this came about. Mr. Sparks owns a property on Altair Trail. You'll be voting on for an affidavit of non-compliance that you've seen, I believe, a couple of months ago. And actually, the complainant was his homeowners association. It started with his property on Altair, and then it went to his pool one street over at his residence on Misty Plateau. And actually, that email was sent to me on April 17th of 20, so it's been well over a year. And they said the pool had been in that condition for a year, so actually that pool is existing for 2 years now, just so you know. So there are 2 violations at this property. One is for code section 3-1502B for exterior surfaces, and one is for code section 3808A1, 2, 4, and 6. A notice of violation was sent on May 1st, 2020 with a compliance date of June 1st, 2020, and an affidavit of posting was done on 6/2/2020. This is the front of the home. Picture was taken on April 21st, 2020. The neighbors were complaining about the exterior portion of the house. You can see the gate is rotted, it's off. There's also a hole in the fascia area. There's a better visual of the hole located in the fascia area of the home, and this would be on the south side of the house. You can also see the stucco starting to come off at the bottom. When I spoke to one of the neighbors, they stated that he did have an insurance claim possibly for a sinkhole. They weren't positive, which would explain the pool and why some things were kind of coming off around the edge, but I cannot verify that. This is a better visual. Moving to the south side of the property, the gate was off, the board's starting to come off the fence. You could see the mildew on the exterior. Again, the gate coming off. I was in the neighbor to the north house named John. He allowed me to walk on his property anytime I chose to, so we weren't trespassing. I had permission from the neighbors on both sides and from the east side directly behind him. This is the neighbor to the east side directly behind him where you could see the fence was rotted, and you get a better visual of the pool color, not necessarily coming out. It was hard to see, and I did ask Jason to come with me on that inspection. This is a note that I had left the owner to phone me at his front door. I went back to the property on June 2nd, 2020. It's his address, 1651. And I did the affidavits of posting for his property where he resides on Misty Plateau and for the issue one street over at 1641 Altair Trail, his rental property. I went back to the property on August 31st, 2020. Again, nothing had been done with the fascia. Nothing had been done with the stucco on the south side of the house. And as you can see, it goes all the way down the side of the house if you take your eyes to both arrows. I went back to the property June 10th of 2021. I did the affidavit of posting for today's hearing. Again, the gate's still rotted. Nothing had been done with the fascia. Stucco still missing. I went back to the property on yesterday. Again, nothing had been done with the fascia, the rotting fence. the stucco coming off the side. I did speak with the neighbor to the north, John. I walked down his property with him, and if you'll see the little blue and white iron, he's had to tie these to the fence because the fence keep coming down on his side of the property. And he did say that the owner asked him if he would take down the fence to access it to take down the pool, but he really wasn't happy about that because he's got a pretty nice yard. And he stated that the owner was going to consider taking out his air conditioner to get the equipment around to take care of the pool. So you could see the bottom of the fence just showing a lot of wear and deterioration. It's coming apart. Clearly there needs to be some new fencing. Again, more sections just holding up the fence from coming into the neighbor's yard. And I'll let the board deliberate.
Any questions from the board?
I have none.
None? Okay. Mr. Sparks, if you want to come forward. Oh, we get some pictures, all right.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. This is the side of my house. This is my fence right here. This is my gate. My gate is closed. My shrubbery, everything is fine. Again, this is my house. This is the fence that she was referencing. Actually, and this is the tree I was referencing that's right on the property line that would have to be removed and was neighboring shrubbery. I'd like to point out is this is the fence that's in question. This is my fence. They're two completely different fencing. What's happened is my neighbor John had code enforcement came out, and he was promised that if he would complain against me, he could get a new fence out of it. He would like me to replace his fence, which is nothing to do with my fence. This fence was originally put up. It's not my fence. This was added to give me some privacy on my home. The original complaint was that my gate was open. It made it easy to come in and out with my dumpster, so I closed my gate up. I feel I'm fully compliant. I don't feel I should have to replace my neighbor's fence because they would like a free fence out of it. I've had my neighbors have looked down on me for years because of my income level. They don't feel I fit into the neighborhood. They feel that their 2 six-figure incomes, my 5-figure income far dwarfs them, and they don't feel that I fit in. Again, they promised if I was to have my pool removed, they'd cooperate. Now that I'm willing to have it removed, now they're saying, oh no, you can't have access to our property, which kind of handcuffs me. They'd actually rather have me, I feel, move because I'm considered
When were these pictures taken that you're showing us now?
last week.
Okay.
So, and she could verify it. Again, my gate, my fence, you can see how the boards are completely different. As she pulls hers up, you can see they're kind of a ovaler fence the whole way down. There are some missing boards.
Does the fence sit on your side of the property line or on the neighbor's side of the property line?
As far as I can tell, it's right down the property line. So when this first came up, I said, if you absolutely want this fence replaced, I'll pay for half of it. And the neighbor's response was, code enforcement says I can get you to pay for my whole fence.
Who put up the fence to begin with?
That predates our ownership of these homes.
So is it possible the fence was put up for the pool?
No, because it mirrored the fence that goes behind his house. It just wraps around, so it's all contiguous, except it's right down the property line. Also, and address the other two issues. The stucco was just cosmetic. I had the stucco removed because there was an issue with termites. The way to alleviate that was to break the stucco off from the side of the house so they can no longer tunnel up and behind it. I have no intention of replacing that stucco because I no longer want termites feeling they can tunnel up along the backside of the stucco and run along the line. So that was done intentionally. I don't feel something cosmetic should have to be replaced. And as well as she took a little picture of the flat roof area that she says needs to be replaced. Again, that's tied into with the pool issue. If a contractor gets in there and damages the support beams, it's going to damage the flat roof, which is going to have to cause extensive repair, but the flat roof is going to have to be replaced along with the pool, but I'm not going to replace one before the other until the pool is out. I'm not going to touch the roof, which will then remedy the fascia, which again is cosmetic. She'd take a picture of 6 inches of fascia that looks worn. It's cosmetic. The stucco on the exterior of the house, it's cosmetic. So that's why I don't feel that's a code violation. And again, if the neighbor wants me to go through these people so that he can get a brand new fence out of me, that's their own prerogative. But I don't think I should be the one brought here. My neighbor should have been brought here, but they're exempt from
Can I ask you a question? This is the second time where your pictures are completely different than the code enforcement personnel, and theirs are dated and yours are not. Can you explain how these two images on both violations are so different? On theirs, it clearly shows that your fence is not in place, which to me alarms me because of the status of your pool.
Right.
And then you show me one that the fence is in place. So how do you explain two sets of images that are direct opposition?
Very easily. This is at the very front of the fence. Okay, this is by the front of the house. Her pictures are, if we continue back on the neighbor's property and you go back up about here, there's a couple missing boards on the neighbor's side, which is, if you could see, and as she demonstrated, she was on John's property taking the pictures, and the boards were missing from the neighbor's side of the fence.
And the gate that was missing and
Oh, the gate, she had told me about the gate that's on the opposite side of the house. It's a whole separate fence. She said, she asked me to remove the gate from the side of the house. What I did was because I closed off this section for my dumpster, and I'll go the opposite way around the house. So it's easier just to remove the gate from the side of the house. So what I did was I had it leaning against the house. She said she didn't want to lean against the house. So I removed it from the side of the house, and one of her pictures did show, the most recent one, that the gate's not there. But then she attacked the stucco hasn't been replaced, and there's a little bit of a cosmetic board on the flat roof side.
Does your pool still have an enclosed cage?
Yes.
On it? Okay.
Yeah, so I feel the gate on the other side is compliant. Oh, and I can, here, sorry, jump ahead. Okay. I've also pictures from my neighborhood. This is another pop pool in the neighborhood. The dilemma here is that this is bank owned, so they're not going at that. Again, you don't see any gates needed. I have this much space. They have a lot of space to get back to this pool, but gates aren't necessary in my neighborhood. They're optional. So for her to say, oh, he doesn't have a gate up. We want him to have a gate. I don't see a gate here. This neighbor has a gate. This one doesn't. I don't see why that is. Here is.
Mark, I don't think this is relevant to your particular.
I feel it is if they're targeting me, and they're not targeting other properties in my neighborhood.
I wouldn't consider it targeting. Like I said, your neighbors reported you.
Okay. And again, if you want a free fence, I would go after somebody. But I don't think we're here to just make a neighbor pay for a fence that isn't even his.
We're not skipping anyone. We're here to discuss your violations.
Okay. And I'd say it's not my violation if it's not my fence. And the other issue with the gate on the opposite side of the house, that has been remedied. The gate has been removed. She said that the gate shouldn't be there. The gate's been removed. So I feel that is compliant. And she actually had one of her last pictures from her, June 2nd, shows that the gate is not there, so I feel that's in compliance. If she wants me to remove and again, she had no pictures of that other fence on the right side of the house. That fence is a couple years old. It's perfect, but.
Okay, well, thank you for your time. We're going to hear it again from the inspector.
Thank you, Board. I would like to just go ahead and go back to some pictures. I'm not quite sure who Mr. Sparks thought he was talking to. He does not call on phone. He sent me emails. He does not sign for certified mail. The neighbor told me it was his fence. The neighbor to the east let me and Jason in their backyard to look at the pool. You could see where there was fence missing back there and rotted and laying on the ground, if you want to see that picture again. I never told him he was required to have a gate, but if you're going to have a fence, you have a solid fence. It can't be a piece, then nothing, then a piece, then nothing, then falling down, and then a piece. So that's what it was. If you need to see pictures again, I'm happy to show them again. Totally up to you, Board.
No, thank you.
It's his fence.
He's never told me it wasn't his fence, and I've been dealing with this gentleman for 14 months. Today is the first day he said it was not his fence. And all I can do is show you what is in the back of his property to the east, behind the pool, where there was a half fence, to the right where it was rotting, and everywhere else that I showed you. And if he's asking the neighbor to take his fence down and go on his property to go around, whatever they communicated with fencing and who was purchasing, I have no knowledge of that conversation. Only what I talked to the neighbor yesterday, where he said that the owner had approached him, wanted to take the fence down. Could the gentleman bring their equipment on his property to fix the pool?
And you did not say.
And I only had that conversation with the neighbor. Mr. Sparks does not communicate with me.
And you did not say you can get a free fence out of this. That's not.
I don't
something you would
believe that
say.
any inspector in our division said that.
Okay.
Now, did the neighbor say that he would allow the pool people to?
He said he didn't want to because he's got nice vegetation. He's got a nice yard. Why would he tear it all up to help somebody that doesn't help their neighborhood? He's got an excuse why he can't take care of his two houses in that neighborhood.
Thank you. Recommendation?
On the first motion in violation, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I move to find a respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
We have a second?
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, my recommendation for case 79-21, there are two violations, exterior surfaces and fence maintenance. I'm requesting compliance on or before July 23rd, 2021, or a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day the violations continue to exist. We're asking the board to authorize the following. After 3 months of the recordation date of such lien, if the fines and fees remain unpaid, the city attorney's office is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien using any legal equitable remedies available under the law. Compliance can be met for the exterior surfaces by repairing any defective structural elements of the building to match as closely as possible to the original materials and construction of the building. Exterior surfaces shall be free of mildew, loose material, maintained in a secure and attractive manner. In addition to that, rotted wood needs to be replaced. Compliance can be met for the fence maintenance by replacing any missing and/or rotted boards and maintaining the fence in a structurally sound, aesthetically attractive manner.
Thank you. I might make a suggestion that we coincide this with the other time period. That's your decision.
September
Okay.
time period that we gave him on the pool?
Yes, because these things sort of married
Yeah.
together.
So September 23rd?
I move to enter an order requiring respondent to correct the violations on or before September 23rd, 2021. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day each violation continues to exist. If the fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Just to clarify, the board did vote that the property was in violation, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, they did the second, that was the second motion they just did.
Mr. Sparks, if you can come back forward, please. So the board has voted, and to give you the same clarity of time period of 90 days to try to work through this as you are because we really feel that they're probably sort of co-joined things. If you're gonna do anything with the pool, it's gonna affect the house, affect the fence. So all these things, if that's the case, we're not there, but if that's the case, you're shaking your head, but if that's the case, these things can all be co-joined and worked through at the same time.
Well, my issue is that the fence that the neighbor would like replaced, he's not gonna give me access. I will have to go through the other neighbor's property. And that fence I can take care of. I don't think the violation fence, I should be responsible for one that is across the neighbor's property. And as her picture showed, the board's missing from the neighbor's side. If I can't access his property to even put replacement boards up, he's not the one getting called here, but I'm the one that's facing the fine.
If it's your fence, either side of the fence, you're responsible for it if it's your fence.
It's not my fence, and that fence will not be coming down to remove the pool because he's not going to give me access to his property, so that fence is going to remain. So I feel to replace a fence that isn't going to even be removed, that, as my picture shows, it's not even the same as the fence that's to my house. That fence, if she showed you another picture, you'd see that the fence behind his house, it's the same material. Goes from down the property line, behind his house and around, and therefore,
In a lot of neighborhoods, house after house after house has the same style of fence. It doesn't really vary much between fences, and sometimes gates are just a little different. So it's not that doesn't give the answer to whose fence it is.
I think it does, because my picture showed there is a section of fence that I paid for that is completely a different fencing, and I put my own gate up. He doesn't have a gate on his side, so there's a big difference. So I think that posing a fine for me, or I got to replace a fence that isn't even mine, isn't a culprit. Now the other side of the house I can understand, because I've already taken that section of fence down, so I think I'm compliant with the right side of the house. It's the left side that I'm concerned with.
For all these issues that are in front of you right now, you have the gift of time, in a sense, for the 90 days to work through whose fence it is or whose fence it's not, and figure out the fence. The same with the soffit on the house and the stucco on the house. A house was built with the stucco to go to the ground and keep it sealed and tight. Part of maintaining a home is keeping an outside envelope on it, as it's called in the world of painting, so it's tight and not letting moisture in. So if you're missing stucco from the house, it means you're letting moisture in, and I know you don't want termites, and that's a lovely place for termites to go. So you want to seal the house back up. You want to seal that rotted wood back up so you don't have any more decay in your attic space. Those are all things that are just good natural maintenance, and that you have the 90 days now to start that journey. So we want to thank you very much for your time, and we know that we'll be working with you, and the city will be working with you. Just make sure you're in contact with the city to make sure this happens. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Sparza, if there's additional information you want to provide to Ms. Phillips or the board, you certainly are welcome to do that, or even come back to one of our meetings and speak as a member of the public if you'd have additional items you'd like to show us. So just keep that in mind as well.
Yeah.
Just maintain contact with the city to let them know what you're doing and as you're progressing. And as long as you keep in contact with them and they hear from you, then they're going to work with you, on this. It maybe extend an olive branch to your neighbors, and, it's a lot easier to smile than it is to frown.
I've tried.
I know.
I've tried. When they consider that I'm beneath them income-wise, it's...
I understand.
Well, thank you for your time. And if I'm right, we're moving on to 6621. Just look you back up.
Are we back? Yes.
Is there anybody here to speak on case 6621? Nobody? Okay.
Chair, Julie Phillips, Inspection Specialist for the city. This property is also in compliance. I'll be requesting a declaration of violation, please.
Do I see here a declaration of violation?
I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. can move probably just a recommendation.
Yeah, just look for the recommendations.
If you want to jump into recommendations, I think.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Do you want to jump?
That was a corrected part.
Yes.
Oh, it was corrected. Oh, it was corrected. Okay. My bad. So now what are we on? 66, 67, 21? Yes, we are. Okay, I need a motion again.
For 67
21?
to 1?
No,
Wait.
the owner's here.
Okay, the owner is here?
The owner is here, and I would like to say that there are two people that would also like to speak to this case. I believe one is a neighbor, one is a former tenant, but the owner is also here.
Okay, the owner would please come forward. And if you would state your name for the record and address.
My name is Mei Zhen, and I bought the number 743 Fairwood Lane, March 8, 2019, and up to date, sorry. I only rented to one man, Samuel Lee. He living at my house more than 1 month, beginning January 25, 2021 to April 20, 2001, by my knowledge. No short-term person living at my house, like Airbnb.
Okay.
And just myself and 1 month, 35 days, tenants,
35 days.
Samuel Lee.
Okay. Well, thank you. If you don't mind having a seat up front, we'll go through the case and.
Huh?
If you don't mind having a seat up front so we can go listen to the recommendations. Thank you. Okay.
Is that an admit or a deny?
Oh,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay, Julie Phillips, Inspection Specialist. I'll be doing a presentation for 743 Fairwood Lane, case 6721. There is one violation at this property. It's for an illegal short-term rental, and it violates Code Section 1-104B and Code Section 3-919. This is a definition of a residential use. A residential use means a permanent place of residence for a family. A residential use located on residentially zoned property shall not include rentals for less than 31 days or 1 calendar month, whichever is less, or which is advertised or held out to the public as a place rented for periods of less than 31 days or 1 calendar month, whichever is less. A residential use located on residentially zoned property shall not include interval ownership, fractional ownership, or time-sharing unit. A notice of violation was sent on February 18th, 2021 with a compliance date of March 18th, 2021, and an affidavit of posting was done on March 29th, 2021. The property is currently advertised on Airbnb as Beautiful View, and as you can see, it's hosted by May, the owner, who's sitting to my left. I tried to book the property for 3 nights from March 2nd, 2021 to March 5th, and was given a total of 305. There is a setting on Airbnb that if you set it to 30 or 31 days, if somebody tries to book it, as I do, for 2 or 3 days, you're unable to do so. I tried to book the property again on March 8th, 2021. Was able to do so for 4 nights this time from, looks like April 15th to April 19th. And on March 29th, I did an affidavit of posting. I did not receive the certified mail receipt, and that's what's hanging next to the yellow arrow. I went back to the website on May 25th, 2021, still advertised as Beautiful View, private room and house, hosted by May. I tried to book the property June 22nd to the 24th for 2 nights, was able to do so. I went back to the property on June 10th, did an affidavit of posting for today's hearing. And then I noticed there was a padlock on the gate. Not sure if somebody tried to break through the gate, but it's open access now. And I went back to the site on yesterday, the 22nd, on Airbnb, Beautiful View. And I tried to book the property for the 4th of July, 7/3 through 7/5, and I was able to do so. May did call me by phone yesterday, and we spoke. She said she did not have anything on Airbnb. She does not know how it got there, and she does not rent the property. I told her that our code is specific to advertising the property, and if you pull it up today, the advertisement is still listed on Airbnb. And of course, I was able to book it for the 2 nights. And I'll let the board deliberate.
Questions from the board?
Yeah, so how do you, can you do, can she advertise or someone else advertise her property in non-compliance? I mean, is she gonna deny that she advertised on Airbnb?
She
or-
did yesterday. She doesn't know how it's on Airbnb. Airbnb is not going to just pull up your address with your face and your property. You have to contact Airbnb, submit pictures, how long you want to rent. You also pay them a fee. It's not free.
Do you have to prove it's you? I mean, can I advertise someone else's property and?
I don't know all the behind the scenes, sir. I mean, they're not going to get pictures of the inside of your house and you from just trying to do it. She's doing it. Her former tenant's here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Should we hear from, can we hear from the former tenant?
Yeah, are you asking the tenant to come and testify?
There are 2 people to speak, former tenant Sam and I believe one of the neighbors.
Sam, if you want to come forward and state your name.
Is he sworn? Were you sworn in?
Yes.
You
At the
were?
beginning?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
110. Hi.
Hello.
Good afternoon, board member and the chairman. My name is Samuel Lee. My address is 185 Grace Circle, Lago, Florida.
I do need you to spell your name for me.
Okay, Samuel. Last name is Lee.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
okay. Okay. So I moved from South Carolina to Florida because of a new job. So I need a new housing. So I look at the website and I found her address and her information. I contacted Marianne at the end of January, and she told me she's the licensed real estate agent. So I make the deal. I move in on January 25th, 26th, and I pay her the rent, and she requests cash. But I did have to pay her the deposit in check. So I did move in. And this is not a short-term rental because I don't want to do a job for 1 month. So this is short-term. But after 5 days, there's one gentleman, I have a phone number here I can give to you. He was paid $1,200 from Airbnb by his credit card. He's the Marine soldier, and there's the police report of January 31st, which the neighbor also can be the witness. I was in the house, and that couple show up by Airbnb and show the credit card charge. So we are double booking. So I'm in rental, and he's the 1 month, and I'm the long term. Okay, so I start to ask the neighbor, what's going on? And then the neighbor told me I am illegal rental. Okay, so after she found out, I talked to the neighbor. We have the incident happen at the end of the February. Okay, so I move out the property. Not on my free will, but the police and the neighbors suggest me move out. Okay, so I move out this one, but the website I found her rental information is still active from January, February, March. So I have here for the board one printout on the May, the other printout today at 8 o'clock. Okay, so this rental info is still going on. Okay, all right. So then her facility after moving, I understand it's not really good for. It's not the tax code. Everything not good for rental. That's why I move out. Okay, right. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And you got somebody else that wants to speak? Gentlemen, sir, if you want to come up forward, thank you.
Let the record show that she left.
Yeah, she left.
Yeah, she's left the.
She's in the hall, yeah, there's
She's on
a,
a phone call.
there's,
Sir, if you could state your name.
Ramsey Johnson. I live at 747 Fairwood Lane.
Could you spell your last name for me?
Ramsey, R-A-M-S-E-Y,
And your last name?
J-O-S-E-N. Johnson.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Chair. You were not sworn in were you here at the beginning of the meeting?
I'm sorry?
Were you sworn in at the beginning of the meeting?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's do that. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth throughout your entire testimony? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've been living since 2000 on that at 747, and people know me for the neighbor, very friendly and helping out. She moved in about 2 years ago, and she says she wants to build an addition we were talking, back then, and she said, so what do you want to do the addition for? She said, I'm doing alteration business. I said, you cannot do business here. This is residential. And after that, last year she did a roofing construction on the roof. She extended the roof on both sides. So I said, what are you doing that for? She said, I'm just covering the air handler outside. And I found out she's doing stairs for the second floor. So she's separating the first floor from the second floor. So like there's 2 units. And she fenced up the whole, her yard. It's huge. So she started parking on the city parking and coming. So they have the tenant using her driveway. What I want to say is she's bringing people in, they're doing party, and it just, I have 2 daughters. I got one 11 years old and one she's 17 years old. And the son we were talking about when he was there's 2 tenants came in through Airbnb, and they were smoking marijuana, I guess. And she said, I said, where's Ren? She said, she's not home. And I said, we have 5 luggage with us and we pay the rent. But I said, there's no room for you because I know there's a guy here, his name is Sam. She said, oh, well, he said, oh, well, I said, you're welcome to stay in my place. I have like a gazebo till you see what you want, what you want to do. So they called the police on her, and so to get their money back so they can get somewhere else. But anyhow, it's just, it's messed up.
Okay. Well, perfect. Thank you for your information. That's helpful.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. If you want to have a seat, maybe. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought they were bringing you back in.
Doesn't have to be in here.
I think there's some legalities between them where they should be in the same room.
I'm sorry.
So, she's living on the bottom part?
That's what we're here.
What's going on?
We're going to wait and see if the owner's in the hallway.
Okay. We take this brief moment. Maybe I'll actually read this book and know what I'm supposed to do.
Why start now?
I know.
You're doing great.
I do thank you all for my patience, as this is the first time I've been at this seat.
There has to be.
not even halfway through. I can go forward if you want me to. I don't know, we should just take a recess. I don't know what the hell's going on. Losing attorneys.
Nicole, should we take a recess?
I think that would be appropriate. Thank you.
We'll take a 5-minute recess.
Oh, there he is, yes, you can go.
We are good.
Yes, we're on.
Everybody, we're going to bring the Code Enforcement Board back into session. Thank you for that 5-minute break. So, recommendations, did we already do the first on this?
You have not done the first.
Yeah.
If somebody would do the motion on this, please.
Can the record reflect that the violator, the respondent, was here at the beginning of the meeting, she now has left, and she has an opportunity to come forward, and she has nowhere to be found?
Can we amend that motion to state that somehow?
The record will reflect that.
Thank you. Somebody make a motion then?
So I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second?
Second that?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, so my recommendation for case 51-21, there's one violation for an illegal short-term rental. I'm requesting compliance on or before June 30th, 2021, or a fine of $250 for each day the violation continues to exist. We are asking the board to authorize the following. After 3 months from the recordation date of such lien, if the fines and fees remain unpaid, the city attorney's office is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien using any legal, equitable remedies available under the law.
Thank you.
I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before June 30th. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $250 per day for violation for each day each violation continues to exist. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, and settle such lien.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.
Compliance can be met for the illegal short-term rental by renting and advertising the property for a minimum of 31 days or 1 calendar month, whichever is less, and by removing any and all weekly rates and reviews and adjusting all websites to reflect the 31-day or 1 calendar month rental requirement.
Okay.
Excuse me, Board Clerk, just for, again, for the record, I think your PowerPoint said 51, case 5121, and the agenda said 6721.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt.
But PowerPoint's not it. I mean, are we saying the PowerPoint is correct or incorrect?
PowerPoint's
I think
incorrect.
we had 5121 earlier. That was the first case. Yeah, so it was the slide right before your recommendation.
Okay, on the recommendation page.
Okay.
Okay, so as long as the case number is correct, that's all we need to make sure.
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome.
Case number 6821. You're just going to stay up here for a while. Do we have anybody from the?
I don't believe so.
No? Okay, thank you.
There it goes.
Compliance has not been met at the property.
Okay. Make a motion for compliance.
First motion,
First motion.
I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
I got a second. All in favor? Thank you.
Hello, Board again. Daniel Knight, Sign Inspector with the city. This is case 68-21 for 600 South Missouri Avenue. The violation is for sign maintenance, and the city is asking compliance on or before July 23rd of 2021, or a fine of $100 per day that the violation continues to exist. We are asking the board to authorize the following. After 3 months from the recordation date of such lien, if the fines and fees remain unpaid, the city's attorney's office is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien using any legal or equitable remedies available under the law. Compliance can be met for the sign maintenance by either repairing and/or replacing the sign so that it is in a good condition, free of any damage, rust, discoloration, fading, and/or peeling paint or other elements. Compliance can also be met by removing the sign from the property. And just so you can see what we're enforcing on. This is the Dunkin' Donuts. I believe it's at the corner of Turner and Missouri. And their freestanding sign is just the red would be like a decal. It's just become faded and is peeling off of the sign itself.
Okay, thank you. I would say recommendation would be just the best. Motion?
Is it that bad?
I'm sorry?
Is the sign that bad? I mean, it doesn't appear to me to be that bad a condition.
The sign does have fading and peeling paint, which by definition is a violation.
I would think they'd want it to be nicer personally, but do we have any questions or a motion?
I moved to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct a violation on or before July 23rd, 2021. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may enter a fine of $100 per day per violation for each day each violation continues to exist. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second on that?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you. You're up again. Case 6921. Oh.
Yes. Compliance has been met at this property for this violation, and the city is seeking a declaration of violation.
Declaration of violation.
I move to find the respondent was in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit. In this case, the violation was corrected prior to today's hearing, and to enter an order that no fine be imposed. If the respondent repeats the violation, the board may order a fine of up to $500 for each day the violation continues to exist.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay. Thank you. Case 7121.
7121. The property has come into compliance for this violation, and the city is seeking a declaration of violation.
I move to find the respondent was in violation of the code as referred in the affidavit. In this case, the violation was corrected prior to today's hearing, and to enter an order that no fine be imposed. If the respondent repeats the violation, the board may order a fine of up to $500 for each day the violation continues to exist.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, board.
Thank you.
Welcome. 7221. Case 7221, let's see. All right.
I skipped it.
And not in compliance. So anybody here to speak on the,
I believe so.
okay. Do we have a motion?
First violation motion.
Yep.
I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second? Second, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, Greg Dixon. This is for case 72-21 for 1317 Overley Street. There's 4 code violations at the property that all stem from a boat repair business being held at or conducted at a residential home. So there's violations for exterior storage nuisance, vehicle repair in a residential zone, business tax receipts required, and a violation of all the home occupation regulations. And,
You would take it to recommendations, that would be good.
yep, I just wanted to clarify that so
That's
you could see. All right, for my recommendation for case 72-21, there are 4 violations for exterior storage nuisance and vehicle repair in a residential zone, no business tax receipt, and home occupation violation. I'm requesting compliance on or before July the 7th of 2021. If compliance is not met, I am requesting a fine of $150 per day per violation while the violation exists. After 3 months from the recordation date of such lien, if the fines and fees remain unpaid, the city attorney's office is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien using any legal or equitable remedies available under the law.
Thank you.
Can we extend maybe the time a little bit, so it's more than 2 weeks?
Yeah.
How does everybody feel about that?
I feel good about
When's
that.
the next board meeting? When's the next board meeting, July?
July 23rd is fine.
July 28th.
July 28th?
Remember that the request is for $150 per day per violation, 4 violations.
And there's
$600 a day.
a day. Do we have any pictures of this, or?
I would like to point out that notice of violations were sent out in April. So
the shortness of time is not that
Yes,
required. That's something to think about.
but I'll show you some pictures.
And $600 a day for a longer period of time is not really the best for the,
No.
for the user.
Here's the front of the home in March. There's a tractor that's there to help to move the boats around that get dropped off. This is the backyard. It's full of equipment and engines, all kind of boat repair. Here it is in April. More boats,
It's a business.
more equipment in the backyard. Here it is in May. Here's the backyard. That's a city fence. Now he's, this was this week. I don't know if he moved some of the boats to the backyard to make it look like there's only a boat at the property. But there's a lot of boats in the backyard. He's using the tractor to lift things over the fence. And those are the pictures.
Yeah, but why go back to the recommendation then?
Yeah, no, why did you call that a city fence?
Originally, he had built his fence sides out to Stevenson's Creek, and those were across city's property. That behind this fence is city property. So the city came in, removed all fence that was on our property, and put up that chain link fence.
So it's a city easement of some sort back
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
We have a motion.
I'll make a motion. Did we decide on a date? You mentioned.
This could take more than 2 weeks to clean that up. I just can't see all that being cleaned up in 2 weeks. So I'd rather keep the fines hefty,
And-
but give him more time to
Okay.
come to compliance.
It's a board decision, so.
So what do you want to pick Valentine's Day? No, no.
How about the 13th?
The 13th?
So that he's free to woo and do, woo his wife.
Okay, we have a motion?
Okay, so let's do that. I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before February 13th, February. What is it, July 13th?
Yeah.
July 13th.
If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day each violation continues to exist. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Case number 7321.
Hey,
How you doing?
how's everybody doing today?
Good. Good to see you again.
This property is not in compliance, and there's no one here to speak to it today. I'll just go to recommendations.
Yep.
All right, this is Daniel Kasman, Code Enforcement Inspector for the City of Clearwater. This is for case number 7321. There's for 1417 Franklin Street. There's 2 violations here, one for outdoor storage and one for address numbers meaning to be displayed in the house. I'm requesting compliance on or before July 23rd of 2021, or a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day the violations continue to exist. We're asking the board to authorize the following. After 3 months from the recordation date of such lien, if the fines and fees remain unpaid, the city attorney's office is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien using any legal or equitable remedies available under the law.
We also need the first motion.
Yeah. I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
We have a second? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, okay. Any questions, or do you want to go back to the recommendations?
We can go to the recommendation. I'd like to see pictures again, of course.
You want to see pictures?
Sure.
Okay. This is the property, 1417 Franklin Street. This came in as a complaint. There's a lot of outdoor storage, and there's no marking of the address on the home. This was on March 11th, 2021. I went by, there was boxes, office chairs outside, in front of all the vehicles, lumber, and just random items stored all over the property.
That's the front yard.
Yeah, that's the front yard. It doesn't seem to be any door on the front to actually get into the place. I think the door to access it is actually on the side of the home. So I went back after the compliance date, I hadn't got the green card back. This was on the 16th of April. There was more stuff being stored outside in bins, more lumber outside. Here was the postings for all the issues. There was also one of the vehicles didn't have a proper tag, and it was on blocks. I had spoken to the tenant. He got the car off the blocks and then registered the vehicle properly, so that was no longer an issue. He did paint the address on the side of the home, but it's not according to code, and I believe it washed off once when it rained, so he had to repaint it on again. I went back on the 5th of May, still it looked a little bit better, but there were still issues with the lumber and stuff being stored outside. This was on the 9th when I was posting for the hearing. I spoke to the tenant, Mr. Ellis, and explained all the issues, and he said he would take care of all of it. Here's a closer-up of the hearing. He did eventually get numbers in the house. I kind of want to make sure they stay on, because I feel the next windstorm they're going to fall off. Just want to make sure they're properly affixed. And there still was some outdoor storage issues. He still got tires and office chairs outside. He took care of some of the lumber, but some of it, the rest of it's got to be off the property. So I think a month is more than fair to give him time to take care of it.
Thank you. So, do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make the motion. I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct violations on or before July 23rd. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per violation for each day of each violation continues to exist. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filled, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
A second? We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, and moving on.
Very good. Okay. This property is currently not in compliance. I don't think anyone here is to speak to it today. 1265 Park Street.
Thank you.
Want to make a first motion?
Yeah, make a first motion.
I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Daniel Casman, Code Inspector for the City of Clearwater. This is for case number 74-21 for 1265 Park Street. There's one violation here for residential rental business tax receipt. Requesting compliance on or before July 23rd, 2021, or a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day the violations continue to exist. We're asking the board to authorize the following. After 3 months from the recordation date of such lien, if the fines and fees remain unpaid, the city attorney's office is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien using any legal or equitable remedies available under the law. It's just a business tax receipt case. It's some of the new construction off of Park Street around the 1200 block. Some of the townhouses have already been bought, and the new owners are already renting, and they just need business tax receipts.
So it's just a matter of filling a form out and getting it done.
Right.
Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before July 23rd. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day each violation continues to exist. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 7521.
This property is not in compliance. Is anyone here to speak for 602 Phoenix?
No one here to speak for that? Thank you. Do we have a motion for non-compliance?
I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Daniel Casman, Co-Inspector for the City of Clearwater. This is for case number 75-21 for 602 Phoenix Avenue. There are 2 violations here, one for exterior surfaces and one for lack of a business tax receipt. I'm requesting compliance on or before July 23rd of 2021, or a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day the violations continue to exist. We're asking the board to authorize the following. After 3 months from the recordation date of such lien, if the fines and fees remain unpaid, the city attorney's office is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien using any legal or equitable remedies available under the law. So, do you want to see pictures or just
make it, you want to go with it? Motion?
Yeah, let's just go to a motion.
Okay.
Okay, so I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before July 23rd. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day for violation for each day. Each violation continues to exist. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Case 7621.
Is anyone here to speak to 209 South Jupiter? All right. And we'll just go to the recommendation.
Abandoned building, okay.
If anyone's curious to look at it, we can go through it if you like.
Yeah, I'd like to look at it.
Okay. So Daniel Casman, Code Inspector for the City of Clearwater. This is for case number 76-21 for 209 South Jupiter. There's one violation here, Code Section 3-1503A, 3-1503B1, B2, B3, and B9 for nuisance, public nuisance condition, abandoned buildings, attractive nuisance, and other nuisance condition. Notice of violation was sent on December 3rd of 2020 with a compliance date of December 17th of 2020, and the certified mail receipt was received on December 10th of 2020. This property is 209 South Jupiter. It's located in the Skycrest neighborhood. There's a lot of complaints about this property. The current owner, or the old owner, Carol E. Martin, passed away, and there was issues with the probate of the property going to either an heir or the bank. And as of right now, I'm in contact with the property preservation company, trying to get the place at least maintained while there's still issues with the property. There's a lot of squatters getting in the property and causing issues. A lot of neighbors are unhappy. This was on November 19th of 2020. I got called out because there was a gentleman living in an RV in the driveway. I spoke to him and we got that figured out real fast and he went out. This is the utilities at the property. They've been off since July 31st of 2019. This was on the side of the house. It had been broken into. There's a bunch of junk laying in the grounds on the 4th of December. The exterior was in bad shape on the 4th of December last year, or 2019. And then there was roof issues. I talked to the preservation company. They actually came out pretty fast and started fixing some of the issues, some of the branches on the roof, taking care of the garbage on the grounds. After about 3 weeks, it looked actually pretty decent there, and we weren't having any issues. This is on May 7th. The utilities are still off at the property. This is on the 12th. I've been getting called out because of squatters at the property and garbage again accumulating in the backyard. We do already have a board order, so the property can be cleaned up at any given time. Issues on the side again, just garbage starting to pile up. But I was able to contract it out and get taken care of. I'd spoken to an individual at the time who was squatting at the property saying they wanted to get the utilities turned back on. I gave them all the proper numbers to call, public utilities to have it turned on. And they'd thrown everything out front thinking that garbage would come by and to pick it up, but there's no garbage service at the property, so our contractor took care of it. This is the posting of this hearing. I've been getting even more calls. The front door was left wide open. There was evidence of people living in the property again on the 14th of June. Sheets over the windows, a busted window on the south side of the property again. From the front, there was evidence of people living there. There was bikes being repaired in the rear of the property. The doorknob had been taken off and was laying on a chair right next to it, so the neighbors were calling the cops. They'd escorted a few people off the property. This is the front on the 18th. As the door was wide open, I've been called out by PD to explain the situation, what's going on there. The entire inside is very messy. I spoke to my officers who'd gone there the weekend previously, and he said there's no utilities, there's feces backed up in the toilet, and a pervasive smell of urine all over the house. And I've already alerted the property preservation company about these issues. The window's more broken again, but it's consistently being a public nuisance to the area. I'd just like to declare it such and maybe get liens started going on the property so maybe the bank or whoever has a vested interest will come by and secure it.
Thank you for that.
So,
Do we have a motion?
That would be the nuisance abatement liens, is that what I need to make the motion for?
No,
No, just a regular
no,
motion.
a regular motion.
Regular motion.
Jump in.
I move to enter an order requiring respondent to correct the violations on or before July the 7th, 2021. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may enter a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day each violation continues to exist. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Before you second that,
Right.
you gotta do the first motion.
Oh, we did do it first?
I have a first motion.
Okay, I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
As soon as he got up there.
Second.
My bad.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now, you have a second motion, you just need a second.
Second on the second
Yeah,
motion?
no, but before we second that, who is the respondent?
Would be the unknown heirs of the decedent. Because the property is currently in foreclosure, there's pending foreclosure litigation going on right now.
Yeah.
They're trying to serve some of the heirs of the decedent, and that's where they're at in the process. So that's why we had to make sure that the respondent is the unknown heirs of the decedent, so hope that
So
clarifies.
what is the effect of doing this? How is this gonna positively affect this property? By fining them, we're gonna give them, whoever the company is responsible that's taking care of it, an incentive to
move.
To do something.
Yes.
Right, the bank, either the bank or the unknown heirs, because you're having you're actually having a situation where it's creating a potential criminal problem in a residential neighborhood.
So we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
All in favor? Aye, thank you. And we're on the third page, the third and final page. Case number 8121, correct?
This is actually a repeat violation for a code board case we heard back in January, I believe. The gentleman who was here to speak to it had to leave. He had to go pick up his granddaughter from school, and he said he's sorry he couldn't speak to it. So we're going to go through the presentation, or just go to recommendations.
Recommendations, since he's not here to speak on it.
Okay.
Do you want the first motion?
That would be good.
Okay, I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second.
Wait,
What? No?
it's a repeat violation.
Man,
It's used to repeat
I almost had it.
We were almost, yeah.
So
We need
Is
that
there,
motion.
is there two motions for that one? I would say so. Yes, so there's a first motion for a repeat violation.
I don't have that book.
Should be
Yeah,
changed.
I do. I'll move to find the respondent was in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case and has committed a repeat violation.
Thank you.
Have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Daniel Casman, Code Inspector for the City of Clearwater. This is for case number 81-21 for 300 South Meteor Avenue. It's one violation, repeat violation for grass parking at the property. I had gotten in contact with the owner finally after failing a few times using the numbers they had given me from last code board where we had heard this. And hopefully they've reined in the behavior of their tenants, but I'm requesting a fine of $250 per day per violation for the following dates: March 26th of 2021, March 30th of 2021, April 8th of 2021, and June 1st of 2021 for grass parking. For 4 days at $250 is $1,000 to be placed as a lien on this property.
And just for the record, Inspector, you've observed the violation on each one of those days.
Yes, I have a photo corresponding to each date,
Thank you.
if we want to look at that.
Your testimony's good enough.
So this isn't to fix a lien or fine, this is a fine.
This is an actual fine. If you determine 4 days of violation based on the inspector's testimony, that's at $250 a day, so it would be $1,000 fine.
Do we have a motion on the repeat offender?
I move to enter an order that a fine of $1,000 per day, or $1,000 for 4 days, or $250 per day be imposed for the 4 days the repeat violation existed, for a total fine of $1,000 payable within
30 days, right?
30 days is the norm.
30 days. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien. If the respondent repeats the violation, the board may order a fine up to $500 for each day the violation continues to exist.
We have a second.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to 8221.
Oh, this one will be a declaration.
Okay, do we have a declaration?
I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Do we have a second?
Yes, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for that declaration. Case 8321.
That one will also be a declaration. Property is currently in compliance.
All right, moving right along. We've got the declaration.
I move to find the respondent was in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit. In this case, the violation was corrected prior to today's hearing, and to enter an order that no fine be imposed. If the respondent repeats the violation, the board may order a fine of up to $500 for each day that the violation continues to exist.
We have a second? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
I think I'm done today.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much for it.
You got them all done at one time, pretty much. Welcome back.
Thank you.
This is case 8421. Anybody here to speak on case 8421?
He's been incredibly
Oh,
patient.
the gentleman in the back, thank you very much for waiting. Thank you for your patience. If you'd state your name and your address for the board.
My name's Chris Leon. My address is 1742 Sharondale Drive.
Okay, thank you. And do you, is this?
Admit or deny.
Admit or deny? I was gonna say guilty or not. Admit or deny?
No contest to the violations that were sent out.
No contest is an admission for our purpose.
Okay, for our purpose, okay, thank you. If you don't,
You could have a seat.
have a seat first, and we'll let her explain, then we'll have you come back up and you give us more feedback on it. So
Go ahead and do the first motion.
yeah, we can have the first motion while we're doing this.
I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second? We have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so just go to the recommendation page.
No contest is that the individual is not contesting the evidence that would support the violation. They're just not admitting it for purposes of
Okay,
whatever.
so I can go to the
Civil
recommendation
liability.
page.
Yes, please.
Thank you. That would be torture.
Next clause.
Okay, Julie Phillips, case 8421. There are two violations at this property. One was for a business tax receipt required that was obtained yesterday, so I'll be requesting a declaration of violation for that violation, please.
Should we do that for that?
Yeah.
Go ahead and do a declaration
I'm sorry, yeah.
on that piece of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah?
I move to find the respondent was in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit. In this case, the violation was corrected prior to today's hearing, and to enter an order that no fine be imposed. If the respondent repeats the violation, the board may order a fine up to $500 for each day the violation continues to exist.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank
So
you.
we have permission for that.
Okay, and for the illegal short-term rental, I'm requesting compliance on or before July 9th, 2021, or a fine of $250 per day for each day the violation continues to exist. We are asking the board to authorize the following. After 3 months from the recordation date of such lien, if the fines and fees remain unpaid, the city attorney's office is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien using any legal or equitable remedies available under the law. Compliance can be met for the illegal short-term rental by renting and advertising the property for a minimum of 31 days or 1 calendar month, whichever is less, and by removing any daily or weekly rates and reviews and adjusting all websites to reflect the 31-day or 1 calendar month rental requirement. This is to show that the business tax receipt was obtained yesterday. This is to show this is what's still existing. There's a listing on Airbnb, advertised as the coolest Clearwater house, pool, hot tub, and bar. It's still advertised with a minimum stay of 2 nights. I did try to book the property for 3 nights and was able to do so, and that was March 26th. I'm sorry, this was yesterday on Turnkey. If you take your eyes to the center arrow, there's a minimum stay still for 2 nights. And there's a better visual. And I was able to book that property as well. I did talk to Chris. He's made adjustments to many of the websites, but unfortunately this one is still existing and keeping him in violation.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you want to put the recommendation back up, and also I'm going to call Mr. Leon back up?
Sure.
So we have it in front of me, thank you.
Sorry, I don't know how I did that.
Thank you. And if Mr. Leon can come back up for
Sure.
a moment, I think.
So I'm a little confused.
Okay, I think I can hopefully clarify part of it. They're giving you to July 9th to really bring the property into compliance to having your website reflecting the actual minimum amount of time you're allowed to rent the property for.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, say that again, because...
The property can't be rented for 2-day periods.
Right.
So the website is not showing that at the moment.
Okay.
So it's really just saying if you can get what you're asking for from your website to be matching what the reality is of what it should be over 31 days.
Okay, and you said by July 9th?
But July 9th, yeah, it should be a website change.
So that's not my full confusion. That's not my property, the pictures that are there. And that advertising, that's not my property.
Okay, thank you.
Let's hope I didn't make an error, but let's go compare pictures if we shall. And if you just want to hang out here, we'll go through them all.
Is that your address?
Okay, coolest Clearwater house, hot tub, pool, bar.
1742 is my address. That's not my property.
Is not the one you and I talked about yesterday?
No, no ma'am.
That's not your property?
That's the front of my property, yes. But the other...
Well, the others never show the
advertisement,
front of your property, it's the back of your property.
that's not the back of my property. That's for sure the front of my property.
They're not showing up at the coolest house on Clearwater then.
Yeah, the coolest, whatever that listing is, that's not my listing.
Well, that could be really interesting. And that's definitely a first for me.
Do you have a pool?
I do have a pool.
Okay.
It doesn't look like that though. That is the front of my house though.
Do you have a screen around your pool?
I do. That's the front of my house.
Well, should we postpone it till next month? And with Chris's permission, we'll just walk around and see how off I am. That's a first for me.
You have permission to visit the property and walk it? And in exchange for that, we'll postpone this for a month to see that it's not your property.
Yeah, we can schedule that for sure.
Okay.
And if you correct the website, then it won't be an issue for, it'll be.
Well, my website has been corrected, but that one is not mine.
What was your website? Because when we talked yesterday, I told you to go to these and we just went outside and you went in and pulled that up on your phone in the hallway.
When you said the coolest house in Clearwater, I was like, I thought that you were just calling my house the coolest house in Clearwater.
Absolutely not.
So that just went right over my head.
That's very funny.
I did ask
nice.
I don't disagree, but I did ask the individual managing my
So can you show us
advertising.
what your website looks like?
I can show you, so this is like from the property manager, so I can show, where do I need to put that?
Right there on the,
I think right here.
the overhead. Oh, yeah, right there, that's.
So I asked him, because she said it was still showing 2 days, which confused me because it definitely should not be, to send me the thing that advertises and sets the rules. So you can see there's a 31-night minimum there.
I just want to see your pictures.
Oh, I can show you the pictures.
I just want to see your listing, how it's compared to this one.
websites you went to that are both using his address and possibly different pictures.
This is my pool. I don't know if you can see that.
So yours is wrong.
So it's totally different. The pool cage is different. My
So
pool
what is your
different.
listing called? Or what was it called?
Just Clearwater Beach House.
Oh, I think we talked about it, and it had the coolest listing in there, because you and I just talked about that out in the hallway.
So were any of those pictures from your property?
No, the ones that were
On
showing
the-
the
on the
yellow door,
Airbnb.
the ones that she was showing.
On the Airbnb, none of those pictures up there were from your property? There
Go
was
through
like
them
5
again.
pictures.
I don't know which ones. I think the ones that were only from my property were the ones that were like the front door photos, but I don't think I think that's the ones that she took personally. That I don't think they were in.
Those
that
were the
listing.
affidavits of posting when you never signed, so I had to post your property.
So none of those pictures up there from your property?
No, sir. I don't have 3 bedrooms either.
That is interesting. Well, if you want, board, would you postpone it? And I will look into this
I think it's worthy of that.
definitely further.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll
I'd
make
be
a motion
comfortable
that we
with that.
postpone this until next month.
Yes,
We have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you both very much,
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
especially for your patience for being here this long.
Yeah, no worries.
Case 8721, that's it.
And that one's being continued to July.
Okay. Unfinished business, can we lump these together like we do or not?
Well-
Or not?
I don't see any, there's no one here.
Did the gentleman for 5.1, did he leave?
Yeah.
Mr. Sparks?
He did, that was for the affidavit of noncompliance for his property on Altair Trail.
Okay, so yeah, you can, well,
You can do one motion to accept 5.1, 5.2, 5.3.
5.2 and 5.3, I'm sorry, are being continued.
You can do one motion for 5.1.
You can take all one of them at once.
All right, who would like to make a motion? So I just confused that part. Anyone?
So I'll make a motion that we continue
No,
item.
we're gonna
No, all you have to do
accept.
is
Oh.
accept or reject the affidavit of noncompliance for 5.1.
I'll make a motion that we accept,
The affidavit of noncompliance.
the affidavit of noncompliance
It's listed.
for Robert Sparks.
Thank you.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. 5.2 and 3, can we put together? Okay, 5.2 and 3.
No, 5.2 and 5.3 are being continued to
We
July.
don't have to worry about it, okay.
Yes,
Case number 12916.
yes. So board, I don't know if the attorneys or if Mr. Pieslak wants to speak to it, but there is a request to stop the lien accrual on one of our cases.
Okay. Is there
So
anybody?
essentially, the inspector would like to go ahead and stop the lien accruals so that he can pursue a case in county court for a notice to appear. So that is why we're going ahead and stopping the lien right here in this case.
Okay.
So what do you need from us?
So we just need a motion to stop the lien accruals for case 129-16.
So I'll make a motion that we stop lien accruals for case 129-16.
Thank you.
We have a second? Second? All in favor? Aye. We don't have any nuisance abatement lien?
No.
Goings. With that, we adjourn this meeting, and thank you for your patience.